The AMX-13 is a French light tank produced from 1953 to 1985. It served with the French Army as the Char 13 T-75 Model 51, and was exported to more than 25 other nations. Named after its initial weight of 13 tons, and featuring a tough and reliable chassis, it was fitted with an oscillating turret built by GIAT Industries with revolver-type magazines, which were also used on the Austrian SK-105 Kürassier.Including prototypes and export versions. There are over 100 variants including self-propelled guns, anti-aircraft systems, APCs, and ATGM versions. Total production of the AMX-13 family is approximately 7,700 units, around 3,400 of which were exported. History: the tank was designed at the Atelier de Construction d'Issy-les Moulineaux in 1946 to meet a requirement for an air-portable vehicle to support paratroopers. The first prototype ran from 1948. The compact chassis had torsion bar suspension with 5 road wheels and 2 return rollers. The engine runs the length of the tank on the right side, with the driver on the left. It features an uncommon 2-part oscillating turret where the gun is fixed to the turret and the entire upper turret changes elevation. The turret is set to the rear of the vehicle and holds the commander and gunner. The original 75mm gun was loaded by an automatic loading system fed by 2 6-round magazines located on either side of the automatic loader in the turret's bustle. The 12 rounds available in the drum magazines meant that the crew could engage targets quickly. However, once those rounds were expended, the vehicle had to retreat to cover and the crew had to reload shells from outside the vehicle. Production began at Char in 1952, with the first tanks delivered the following year. In 1964, production was transferred to Creusot-Loire at Chalon-sur-Saône as a switch to the production of the AMX-30 MBT, and the numbers produced declined significantly. From 1966, the 75mm high-velocity gun was replaced by a 90mm medium-velocity gun firing more effective heat ammunition, with the French upgrading all existing base models to this specification. By the early 1970s, export models were available with an even more potent 105mm gun. Although there were many variants on the turret, the basic chassis was almost unchanged until 1985, when changes including a new diesel engine, fully automatic transmission and new hydro-pneumatic suspension were introduced. Production halted with the model 1987. After-sales support and upgrades are still offered through GIAT Industries. The AMX-13 tank was phased out of service with the French Army in the 1980s. Current French armored vehicles with a similar role are the ERC-90 Sergei and the AMX-10RC. Additional characteristics: ground clearance 370mm, fording 600mm, vertical obstacle 650mm, trench 1.6 meters, gradient 60%, side slope 60%, NBC system, none, night vision, optional. The AMX-13 in French service. During the Suez Crisis of 1956, the French Army used 2 sections of the 2nd Foreign Cavalry Regiment's AMX-13 tanks in Port-Foire. The AMX-13 saw limited action in the Algerian War due to the absence of heavy or intense opposition and the rough nature of the Algerian countryside where the anti-colonial guerrilla fighters operated from. the AMX-13 in the Dominican Republic's service. 2 AMX-13s were destroyed by M50 UNTOS of the U.S. Marine Corps during the U.S. invasion of the Dominican Republic in 1965. The AMX-13 during the Sinai Campaign. The AMX-13 was Israel's first modern tank and was purchased at a time when France was the only country willing to openly sell arms to Israel. By 1956, Israel had received 180 AMX-13 light tanks as part of an agreement to reinforce Israel's military and to maintain the balance in Israel's favor. After the Egyptian-Czechoslovak arms agreement, due to the shortage of tanks, the IDF used them as main battle tanks and employed them to form a tank battalion in the 7th Armored Brigade. IDF reconnaissance units did not use AMX-13s and they remained exclusively equipped with jeeps. The 7th Armored Brigade advanced into the Sinai and its reconnaissance company played a decisive role on the 30th of October 1956 at the pass at Abu Agila, located in central Sinai. This lightly armed company managed to maneuver and discover that the pass was held only by a small force of Egyptian engineers, who quickly fled when the Israelis arrived. The company secured the pass and helped to allow the 7th Armored Brigade to pass through and surround the Egyptians. IDF AMX-13 tanks during the Six-Day War. By 1967, Israel had acquired about 400 AMX-13s and formed 3 AMX-13 battalions, all of which fought actively on all fronts during the Six-Day War. The first moved south in the West Bank area through Taluzi and Tubas and occupied Nablus. The second captured the strong points protecting the Gaza Strip and the coastal road in the north of the Sinai Peninsula. The third assaulted the Golan Heights. In conclusion, the IDF realized that the AMX-13 tank was too lightly armored and had a weak main gun, but the IDF had little choice but to use them due to the lack of tanks at the time. IDF AMX-13 tanks took heavy losses at places like Rafah Junction and Girardi Pass during the Six-Day War. Subsequently, the IDF completely phased out the AMX-13 tanks from its inventory and later sold them to the Singapore Army in 1969. The offensive carried out by the Pakistan Army's 1st Armored Division was blunted at the Battle of Asal Uta on September 10, 1965. Pakistani forces were opposed by 3 Indian armoured regiments, which are Deccan Horse, 3 Cavalry and 8 Cavalry. The Indian regiments withdrew but then rearranged the tanks into a U-shaped formation around the town of Asal Uta. The tall sugarcane grass in the area allowed the Indian tanks to remain hidden and allowed them to be much closer to the Pakistani tanks without being detected and destroyed by the Pakistani tanks. Besides, India had already flooded the surrounding fields to try to immobilize the Pakistani tanks in mud. Eventually, about 100 Pakistani tanks were either destroyed or captured by India, while India lost only 10 tanks during this battle. The AMX-13 in Lebanese service. Lebanese AMX-13s saw extensive service during the Lebanese Civil War in the hands of the Lebanese army and various armed groups in and outside Beirut. The AMX-13 in Moroccan service. Morocco used some AMX-13s in Western Sahara, with at least 4 being captured by the guerrillas of the Polisario Front. Afterwards, Morocco decided to supplement its AMX-13s with the more advanced Austrian SK-105 Kürassier light tank prototypes. Char AMX-13 prototype with 4 road wheels and trailing idler. Char AMX-13 prototype with 5 road wheels and raised idler. Char AMX-13 prototype with FL-10 turret and 2 support rollers. Char AMX-13 prototype with 4 support rollers. Char AMX-13 Prototype with 3 support rollers and 90mm gun Char AMX-13. Prototype with 2 support rollers and, later, a thermal sleeve. Other prototypes: AMX-13, a Vectoral A14 fitted with a German HS-30 turret, fitted with a 105mm howitzer barrel. AMX-13 75th experimental variant with a short-barreled 75mm in FL11 turret. Prototype with a special gun. AMX-13 twin 20mm in a welded turret without a bustle. Char 48 FCM aka Char 12 TFCM DCA Catra cannons to 20mm 4x20mm cannon in an FL4 turret. DCA 40mm aka Char 13T DCA 40mm Bofazell 70 gun in a large faceted turret. AMX-13 GTI improved suspension by Kraus Maffei. AMX-13 THS prototype fitted with hydrostatic transmission, fitted with Rapace 14 million Brazilian reals. AMX-13 Hot fitted with hot ATGM launches. Production variants. Some initial vehicles were fitted with the turret of the M24 Chaffee. AMX-13 initial vehicles with the turret of the M24 Chaffee converted into a driver training tank. Gun removed. High-velocity 75mm gun in FL11 turret as installed in Panhard EBR armored car with 2 top rollers. High-velocity 75mm gun in FL11 turret with 4 top rollers and revised stowage. AMX-13 T75 fitted with SS 11 ATGM launches. AMX-13 T75 AVEC TCA, fitted with an electronic guidance system for the missiles. FL10 turret refitted with the F3 90mm gun. AMX-13 90th LRF fitted with a laser rangefinder, fitted with a 105mm gun in an FL12 turret. Upgraded export version of the Model 58 with a thermal sleeve and a revised hull front. Late production version SPAAG version with a retractable radar fitted. 60 were produced beginning in 1969. AMX-13 with the turret removed, used for driver training. AMX-13 Model 55 recovery version, scissors type bridge layer modernization packages. Cockerel 90mm regunning packaging, 90mm upgunning package. GIAT Industries upgrade with a Bordeaux 6 F11 SRY diesel engine and an upgraded turret. GIAT Industries add-on armor package installed on turret front, sides and glassy plate. NIMDA upgrade package. Israeli retrofit package. Indra Amazon fire control system upgrade with thermal imaging and a laser rangefinder. National Netherlands. AMX-13 FL12 by the Netherlands, fitted with the Searchlight and FN mag machine guns. AMX-13 FL15 Dutch FL12 version refitted with an FL15 turret. Singapore AMX-13S rebuild of standard AMX-13 75th Model 51 by Singapore prior to ADM-1 upgrade. AMX-13SM1, Singaporean upgrade with modern communications, a new diesel engine replacing the original petrol engine, improved transmissions, suspension system, laser rangefinder and night vision elbow upgrade by St. Kinetics. The 75mm main gun remained unchanged. Switzerland Leichter Panzer 51 Swiss Army version. Peru AMX-13PA5 a Scorpion proposed upgrade for a standard AMX-13 105th by the Peruvian designer Sergio Casanave, fitted with modern communications and 49M142T missiles. AMX-13PA ATSCORPION2 equipped with Dante fire control system. 4 Ukrainian laser-guided barrier R2 anti-tank missiles and 7.62 mm and 12.7 mm machine guns was also proposed. Venezuela AMX-13 VCLI upgraded AMX-13 90ths for Venezuelan Army. AMX-13 Venezuelan MLRS version armed with IMILR-160 mm rockets. AMX-13 M51 Rafaga Venezuelan Army's AA version armed with two 40 mm cannons mounted on an M4E1 turret. APC. The AMX-13 was the basis of a family of APCs beginning with the AMX-VTT and culminating with the AMX-VCI. The APC chassis was itself the basis of a number of variants. Self-propelled howitzer 105 mm AMX Mk61 automotored a 105 do AMX-13N casemate, 105 mm casemate SP AMX Mk61 Dutch Army version with 30 caliber howitzer and Browning Commander's MG. AMX Mk62 prototype with 105 mm howitzer in a turret. AMX Mk63 prototype of Mk62 with MG cupola fitted to turret. 155 mm AMX MKF3 155 mm SPH. Operators. Current operators Argentina 24 AMX MKF3 155 mm self-propelled howitzer version to be replaced by 36 M109 howitzers. Cambodia 12, Ivory Coast 5, Djibouti 60, Ecuador 102, Indonesia 250. Kuwait unknown number, Mexico 409 AMX VCI, Nepal unknown number, Peru 210, Venezuela 36 AMX-13C, 90, former operators Algeria unknown number, Austria unknown number, Argentina 60 AMX-13 105th FL12 received currently in storage, Belgium 555 built under license mostly APCs and other variants based on the APC version, Chile 12 AMX MKF3 155 mm self-propelled howitzer version, Dominican Republic 15, Egypt unknown number, El Salvador 12 ordered but no evidence that they were ever delivered. France. The AMX-13 tank was phased out of service with the French Army in the 1970s. Guatemala 12, India. Indian Army used AMX-13 tanks against Pakistan in the Indo-Pakistani War of 1965. Israel retired and sold to Singapore in 1969. Lebanon 35 AMX-13 tanks in service with the Lebanese Army in 1976, passed on to the Qatar Regulatory Forces Militia, Tigers Militia, Amal Movement, Al-Morabitan, People's Liberation Army, Army of Free Lebanon, Lebanese Arab Army, Lebanese Forces and South Lebanon Army, phased out of service with the Lebanese Army in the 1990s. Morocco, replaced by SK-105 Kürassier. Netherlands 131. Switzerland 200 AMX-13 introduced as light tank 51 between 1952 and 1954. Served in light tank battalions till 1961 and then as recon vehicles, with recon battalions till the last ones were phased out in 1980. 4 howitzer variants purchased for trials in 1962–64, not introduced into service. Tunisia 55 AMX-13 75 mm main gun light tank. Singapore 350 regular AMX-13s and AMX-13 ED M1s all completely phased out.